Hello, everyone. This is Jessica Hepburn, and welcome to Fertility Awareness Week. I'm here with Caroline Stafford, and we have been asked to record a short video for the More to Life community for Fertility Awareness Week, the 4th to the 8th of November 2024. Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Jessica.
We met through our fertility journeys. Can you start by talking a little bit about yours?
My journey?
Yes.
Yes, of course. So, our fertility journey, mine and my husband's, lasted around about a decade. Started when we were 30. We started undergoing some tests, which led to IVF, firstly in the UK and then over in Athens, where we had most of our treatment. And we travelled that journey, that path, until 2019, where we drew a line under further treatment after a really surprise natural pregnancy that ended in a miscarriage on Christmas morning in 2019. And that was the point where we decided it was time to start figuring out how to live a different life than the one that we'd anticipated and hoped for and imagined.
I can't imagine how hard that must have been, like
Yeah.
Christmas Day.
Yeah, it was really tough. And I think because I've always tried to not remember those dates. I know some people really like to honor and mark the dates, and I completely understand that, but I've always tried not to.
Mm.
And I think the fact that it was Christmas Day and there was I will never not have a real memory of that on that day. And coupled with the fact of, what Christmas is for a lot of us, it felt like it felt really cruel, actually. It felt really cruel, and it felt like that sort of it needed to be that point where we chose to try to move forward and start a different process and a different life, I guess.
And we'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. I'll tell you a little bit about my fertility journey, which started when I was 34, when my partner Peter and I threw away the contraception. Like many people, we thought we were going to get pregnant immediately and didn't. After a year of trying, we still hadn't got pregnant, and it was the beginning of what became a decade-long struggle to conceive for us, which involved a total of 11 rounds of unsuccessful IVF and multiple miscarriages and ectopic pregnancy that almost took my life. And I'm 53 now. My fertility journey was a decade, and really I'm sort of decade on from my last round of IVF. And one of the things I wanted to talk about is that the theme of fertility awareness this week is mental health.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, when you're on your fertility journey, I mean, I think, I always say that fertility treatment, IVF, infertility is both a disease of the body and of the mind, in the sense that your body's not working because it can't get pregnant. But actually, for me, by far the worst part of the process is what it did to my mind. And I don't think that that's acknowledged enough. And whenever I give sort of public talks, I always say that you absolutely need to sort of focus on your psychological support as well. I mean, what did you do? I mean, were you good around that from the beginning or not? And what did you do that helped you?
I think in a sense, yes, because I was really open about it. And I, again, know and completely understand why for a lot of people, it's a really private experience. But
Which it was for me, because I didn't tell anyone for years, but yeah.
yeah. And I completely understand that. But I don't know what it was that made me feel like from the beginning, really. We didn't broadcast it, of course, but I was quite open about it from the beginning. And actually, like, looking back at it now, I think that was what was right, really right for me. And it really, I guess it didn't always help sometimes, and I
Mm,
guess, sometimes it wasn't, what didn't feel that helpful, but overall having that openness around it and having the ability to talk to people
mm,
and share how we were feeling and what was going on. And just that, even in terms of sort of being able to be quite open about the practicalities of what we were doing, especially because a lot of our treatment was overseas, it would have been quite complicated, I think, to be more private about it. But that definitely had a big impact. But how about you? How did it feel for you
yeah, I mean, well, as I said,
from your
like I was
perspective?
so secretive about it. I didn't tell my closest friends and family, let alone
Mm,
colleagues, for years and years and years. And I mean, my partner and I did like, I mean, I always say that the fertility clinics are so poor at the emotional stuff, and never really offered us any form of sort of counselling or psychological support.
mm,
Um, but we did eventually get some counselling in terms of I had a one-on-one therapy for a while, and also we had couples counselling. I did an intensive therapeutic course called the Hoffman process to see like if my inner child was anything to do with the reason why I wasn't getting pregnant. But I suppose
mm.
like what really started to turn things around for me was when I started writing
Yeah,
about my journey, and I charted that in my first book, The Pursuit of Motherhood, which came out 10 years ago, in fact this year.
which is
And
how
yeah,
I
which
came
is
to know you.
how we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when did you? So yeah, so you read
I
that
read
book,
that book. When did it come out?
2014.
Yeah, so it was slap bang then in the middle of it was right in the middle for us. And at that time, I don't think I'd read anything from the perspective of somebody writing as you were writing, from the other side of it, from the end, sort of coming to the end of that period of life without having the happy ending. That is what we generally seem to hear about. And I remember reading that book and just feeling so seen and so heard and so not on my own anymore.
Mm.
So that was such a gift. And then it was at one of the Fertility Network events. It was during Fertility Awareness Week, I think, at the event in London. You did a talk, and I came up to you at the end. Do you remember that?
Oh, I don't. I remember seeing you at the fertility show in Manchester. That's where I feel I
Oh,
first met
maybe it was
you.
there. Maybe it was there. After a talk, you did a talk. It
Definitely
might
could
have
have
been, it might have been
probably
that.
done a
Yeah,
talk.
yeah, yeah. It
But
might have
like
been that.
writing was sort of the beginning of my journey to healing, to use that
Yeah.
sort of well-worn phrase, but biscuits were
Yeah.
the journey to
Yes.
your healing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So in the middle of, or quite early on in our um, journey through IVF process, I was in the middle of a 2-week wait, and I'd sort of forgotten, actually, not forgotten, but I forget sometimes that this really is where it all began with my business. So we were in the middle of a 2-week wait, and I knew I'd met quite a lot of people, formed a little community of people who were going through something really similar, and I wanted to send somebody I'd met who was in exactly that same period as us, something to let her know I was thinking about her, because what there are no, what do you say? Um, and I'd seen these quotes that I stamped onto the icing of these biscuits, put the icing on the biscuits, put them in a shoebox and sent them to her. And in truth, like, I know that certainly for that fortnight, I just kept stamping quotes onto biscuits and eating them. Genuinely, that was what got me through that 2-week wait. And then it just gently started evolving, and for me, it was my life raft. That was what helped me to get through that really, really dark period. And I know the reason why was because, and I wonder if it's the same with you from a writing perspective, it gave me such a sense of purpose, and it gave me an
Mm,
opportunity
mm,
to find a silver lining from
mm,
this situation that we
mm,
were going through, because it enabled me to feel like there was something really good coming from it.
Mm.
And that was the only way I could find to make sense of it at the time.
No, I really agree with that. I mean, I often say that like I lost a decade of my life to Project Baby, and I think like it's really hard because it's all you can focus on. And actually I think the first steps to healing are to find a new passion and purpose. And there are things to find. You know, I certainly have found that. I went on, I've you know, as you know, Caroline, I've gone on to write 3 books and to go on to do all these crazy ventures, which we'll come on to talk to, because that's why we're together, everyone here now. And you've gone on to found a, you know, a successful biscuit making empire.
Very small empire.
But these things have come out of our fertility journey. So we didn't get a baby, but we didn't get the dream that we were hoping for, and that will always be a sadness for me, as I'm sure it will be for you. But like, yeah, exactly. I love the way you use that phrase, silver lining. That there have been, for me anyway.
Yeah, there are
silver
there are
linings.
many gifts. Yeah, there really are. And I think none of that would, I used to hate it when people used to say, they used to refer to the business as being my baby, and it used to make me really cross. And now, in a way, it was this thing that I was able to create and nurture and grow and look after and kind of bring out into the world. And it, you know, it's very different from that, but it is, I think we've probably talked before, like there are many ways that we can mother
in the world and parent in the world.
And whilst, you know, it's not something we didn't choose this path, I really believe that there are so many gifts in it. And I always say, you know, we don't always have a choice in what happens to us, but we do have a choice in what we do with it, and how we respond to it, and what we choose to, where we choose for it to take us. And I know that's really hard. And, you know, and I think we can say that with a slightly more reflective sort of where we are in our lives now. But I think that sense of purpose is so important, and is so possible to find.
Definitely. And actually that brings us really nicely to where we are now, because I would say that my first step was writing my first book, and that has led to now a trilogy of books, which I describe as sort of alternative adventure stories. And my first book was The Pursuit of Motherhood, was my adventures through IVF. And then my second book was called 21 Miles, and it was about my adventure to swim the English Channel and answer the question, does motherhood make you happy? And then my third book is called Save Me from the Waves, and it's about my journey to the top of the world, the top of Everest. And actually, that is what's brought us here together. We're recording this from the Highlands of Scotland. Maybe you can say a few words about what we've been doing over the last few days.
We've had an amazing few days. So we came up here Thursday. And what haven't we been doing? We've been on all sorts of adventures. I guess one of the highlights of the adventures was climbing Ben Nevis on Saturday. And we've been swimming.
We've also been swimming in our local loch, but we've also been participating in sort of workshops. I mean, I have this phrase, which is your shit is your superpower. And I feel like we both embodied that. We've taken the sad stuff in our life and turned it into something positive for ourselves and other people. And we want to spread that word, that love more. And you have been leading these amazing yoga. The other thing, as well as developing a biscuit company, you've also trained as a yoga teacher, you know, following on from your pursuit of motherhood. And talk to us a little bit about that. And you've been leading these amazing yoga sessions for us.
It's been a joy. I think the yoga teaching again came from, well, initially it came from me wanting to deepen my practice. And I think that was part of my healing journey, actually, was finding a way, a different way to reconnect with myself. And it's the self-love thing, it's learning to really love and appreciate my body after, and I know you connect with that after a long, years of not. And so I trained as a yoga teacher. I've qualified nearly 2 years ago now. And I teach locally, but it has been a real gift to hold the space here for a couple of classes. We did our yoga nidra, and then we did a nice gentle stretchy yoga session after our climb.
And it's been great. And we're developing what we're calling the Save Me from the Waves Adventure Retreat, with another amazing woman called Alice Todd, who runs a company called Swim Quest. And we're going to be, over the next few years, delivering these retreats as 3-day retreats in Scotland, back in Scotland, but also week-long retreats in Formentera. And we'll put all the links to our books, to our companies, to our yoga classes, to the retreats. We'll send them all to Fertility Network UK so that they can share them with you. I mean, our retreats aren't just for women like us who, in fact, they're for men and women, although we've been with a tribe of women this weekend trialing all these activities for the retreat. And actually, because there were a mix of mothers and non-mothers here this weekend, how did that feel for you?
I think actually it was I think the dynamic of that was really beautiful. And I think that's important, actually, isn't it? Is that these retreats are we all have our shits. We all have our things that we bring. And I think the dynamic of us all being together. And I think this is the thing about the retreats. They are for anybody who's
struggled in life,
which, let's face it,
is everybody.
And I think anybody who wants to go on an adventure, and we talked about that a lot this weekend. What does an adventure mean? And there is so much scope. That's what it's about, is exploring, isn't it, what adventure means, and
the power of adventure to change your life for the better. So that's actually quite a good moment to finish, really, which is to say that thank you to Fertility Network UK for inviting us to beam into your homes during this Fertility Awareness Week. And just also, we know it's hard, right? We know that we carry this wound that we have been given in our rucksacks. I certainly do. But I don't think that will ever go away. But I do believe that there is light and joy and love to be found in the world, even while still carrying that wound. And the power of an adventure or a passion, finding a new passion, finding a purpose, is the step towards improving your mental health.
I completely agree.
So thank you, and
so
goodbye, everybody.
Bye.